Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. This is video presentation of Group 1 on the topic Finite Element Analysis. Let's start.
What is finite elements method, which is known as FEM? It is basically a general numerical approach for solving partial differential equations in 2 or 3 space variables. It divides a complex system into smaller, simpler sections called finite elements in order to solve a problem. FEM also utilizes the calculus of variation to approximate a solution by minimizing an associated error function. Thus, the finite element techniques always solve a continuous issue in an orderly step-by-step procedure, regardless of the approach used to obtain the element properties. There are 3 types of finite elements, which is the first one is 1D element. Since it is 1D, it looks just like a line. The example of this 1D element is spring, truss beam, and pipe. Next is 2D element, which we can see one of the element surface. The example of these 2D elements, ID membrane, plate, and shell. And the third one is 3D element, which it is related to the temperature, displacement, stress, and flow velocity.
Next, we move to the finite element software. This is the common software that being used to analyze the finite element. The first one is MATLAB, next SAP2000, and last one is ANSYS. And for this project, we use the SAP2000 to do our finite element modeling. There were 7 common geometry of element, which are bar element, triangular and quadrilateral plate element, next triangular and quadrilateral torus element, tetrahedron and hexahedron element. The figure shows the shape of each the geometry of element. This is the problem that we need to be solved for this project. From the figure, it shows that the bar is rigidly supported in the left end and in the right acts a concentrated force R. For this project, we discretize the bar into few elements. For example, of the manual calculation, we discretize it into 3 and 5 elements.
Here's the comparison of manual calculation and software SAP 2000 that we obtained. The table shows the result of 3 elements in terms of axial displacement and axial stress. The differences between the manual calculation and software have been calculated. The sign positive shows that the value of manual calculation is more than the software output, while the negative values meaning that the value of manual calculation is less than the software output. The highest differences between those values are 2.5%, which is the axial displacement. The result between manual calculation and software output can be considered as equal. However, since the manual calculation has 2 accuracy to 2 decimal places, while the software output only to 1 decimal places, the differences of those values is occurred. Thus, the manual calculation is correct.
This is the comparison of exact solution and finite element solutions in terms of axial displacement. At the node points, the finite element solution match the exact solution. The finite element solution, on the other hand, converges to the exact solution as the number of elements increases. The greater the number of components used, the nearer the value comes to the exact solution. As shown in this figure, the 16 element is the nearest value to the exact solution, while the furthest one is 3 elements.
Okay, thank you. For the conclusion, in conclusion, this project about manual calculations and software analysis, which one use the SAP 2000, does some research on 1D models. According to the discussion and analysis of the result, both software analysts and the manual calculations have calculated and compared the nodal displacement and the extra stress in the former element. It can be seen from the result that there are differences in the nodal displacement between software analysis and manual calculations, which may be caused by some number errors where the results of the 2 calculations are close to each other in the extra stress. Compare the 2 mass SAP 2000 absolutely has a higher extreme and efficiency, but there is no denying that manual calculations can better understand the analysis and the conclusion process of the whole structure. As a job, you using the software analysis is more suitable for faster paced engineering needs because it can not only give results but also has many analysis functions. If you as a student, as a beginner, manual calculation can depend on the application of the structure analysis and the finite element math. Thank you, that's all.